I don't know when it became okay to have your kids have a say in what they eat. I grew up with like, this is your food. And this is what you'll eat, and if you don't like it, I guess you'll be hungry. I mean, that's part of it, right? It's just like.
But also, you wrote the Smart Parents Guide to raising vegan kids, so just hand them the book.
That's the big part of it. Is that I interviewed, I think, over 12 other parents for the book, because I've got my own experience, I've got my own kids, we've got our own challenges. But, the two little ones that we're raising are different than two teenagers who are just moved into a blended household with another teenager who's being raised by his vegan mom. You're like, there's all these different scenarios that I wanted to make sure I covered in this book. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, and bottom line meaning like fiscally too, as you're saying, Dotsie, until you have a job or a car, you're not feeding yourself. Like, you have to eat what we're giving you. And so you want to make sure it's nutritionally balanced. You want to make sure they're getting what they need, as far as for their own personal health. But also you're giving them foods that they're going to eat a lot of. Like, our kids they prefer broccoli over candy. It's like the greatest thing ever when you see our kids passing on cookie tables saying, is this vegan? Is this vegan? Is this vegan? Nope, 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 nope. And they're just like, well, then I'm not going to eat it. And they'll grab an apple. And I'm just sort of standing back going, oh my gosh, how lucky are we? They're there. They know what's going on. And so I think you can get there. But yeah, until they can shop for themselves, they're kind of like stuck eating what we give them.
I want to go back to raising kids on a vegan diet, because I think a lot of people who might be all about veganism for themselves still get swayed by doctors or the fear that they're not going to, that their kids will miss out on something. Tell us what you feed your kids. Your kids are about 7 and 9. Is that right?
No, Cooper will be 7 in March. Paisley's 5.
Oh, so okay.
They're
5 and 7. So, that's even better. Tell us what they eat on an average day.
Right. So I can simplify this for everyone watching and listening, but if you plan your meals, and I don't mean literally meal planning, which again, I should be doing, like where you have things tucked away for the week, but if you sort of plan your meals based on some foundation of something. And so if that foundation's pasta, because kids love pasta, our household is also gluten-free. So we found our favorite brand of gluten-free vegan pasta.
Which is?
Tinkyata. It's from Canada, and it's amazing. No matter how you prepare it, it always turns out great. The spaghetti, the penne, the elbows, and the rotinis are all, kid approved. They're perfect.
Is that the brand, or that's what it's made of?
That's the brand. It's brown rice.
It's brown rice. Okay. Cool.
So, we can boil a bag of Tinkyata pasta and then build up on top of that everything else that we know they like. They like broccoli. They like this kind of sauce. Maybe they only want the pasta with butter and the broccoli as a side. I make a cheese sauce now that's a cashew cream. It's cashews in your soaked cashews in Vitamix with nutritional yeast, a little bit of salt, some garlic powder, and turmeric for the color. And you just blend that up, and it's yellow. It looks exactly like cheese, and you pour that on top of broccoli, and both kids will eat it like they're eating cheesy broccoli, and you can also pour it on the pasta. And so we sort of have that as like a foundation for a meal. And then another meal might be doing the same kind of thing on top of rice, like a bibimbap, like a Korean dish where you're putting a bunch of steamed vegetables on top of rice with some wheat-free tamari, soy sauce, and they'll eat that whole bowl, and they'll ask for more. You can do that on quinoa, all these different grains. So it's a lot of it's a different way of thinking, right? I should probably do some kind of drawing about this. It's building your meals like this up on top of something as opposed to around something. So we were raised that things were circulating around the protein on the plate, that you put the piece of meat somewhere, and then you put some broccoli over here, potatoes over here, and there's this semi-complete, this standard American diet. But if we instead think of it as we're building on top of a grain, because the pasta is made out of brown rice, so it's in itself pretty healthy, and then putting all the different sauces that are nothing but vegetables and spices, and then putting vegetables on top of this, on top of that, and then we give them they have popsicles now that are made out of vegetables that taste like fruit popsicles. The kids are eating frozen vegetables, which is incredible. So those are like two or three different ideas on things that we do. I have pizza night every Friday. I make a big, again, check me out on Instagram. I make a big gluten-free vegan pizza crust, and then we top that with whatever we want to top it with for that night. So we have a pizza night. Occasionally, like you were saying, we'll do a Beyond Burger, or Gardein has some really nice, like a chicken breast. It's a scapolini. Again, the gluten-free stuff is what's in the house. So there's a lot out there. They're definitely not going hungry. And our little boy, Cooper, will just eat everything. He can walk up to you and you put an onion in his mouth and he'll eat it, which is amazing.
Yeah, I have a question that I want to really help people with, because kids, taste buds are, somewhat simple. And the question I get all the time is, if they started omnivore, right? And when they were, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, and now they're 6, and their parents were like, oh my gosh, we want to move over to whole food, plant-based, right? The kids don't like vegetables, like no vegetables, right? Like all they'll eat is fruit and meat and, cheese basically. And so it's a lot easier. Your kids obviously are vegan since birth. So they have developed this palate around loving every single kind of vegetable. Are there any tips or tricks or cheats or hacks that you have that if you've got the kid that's 7 and you're like, all right, we're gonna that will help them transition? Is it kind of like the fake chicken fingers and then putting in, or is it blending up the broccoli with the apple in the Vitamix, and it tastes like a fruit smoothie, but the veggies are in there? And yeah,
it's a little bit of both of those. Again, my knee-jerk reaction to your initial question is feed them everything that they love, the vegan version, because they won't know the difference. Chicken nuggets, I mean, again, that's a weakness. I hate to admit that one, but where we live, there's a grocery store called Wegmans, and Wegmans has these frozen chicken nuggets in this family-size bag, and they taste exactly
vegan chicken
like
nuggets.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, but I just want to make sure he's not having sides of chicken nuggets.
No, I'm not reverting. So we could buy this bag, and we throw it in the air fryer and have a bunch of kids over, and they're running over, and they're eating chicken nuggets dipped in whatever ketchup or again, all vegan, whatever they're dipping it in, and they literally don't know the difference. Yeah. So we are at a point now where if you want to raise your kids vegan for the animals and for the environment, you can do it with the vegan replacement foods. I don't want to say that that's the healthiest way to raise your kids, and there are ways to sneak really great nutrition into their diets. We make, they're called smoothies, I guess, but it's basically a vanilla shake. So it's frozen bananas and almond milk. And my favorite protein powder, by the way, I'm going to go on record as saying this, is Bob's Red Milk, because everyone's sleeping on this stuff. It is so good, and it's packed.
Bob's Red Milk, the guy who makes the oatmeal, the oats and stuff, he has a protein powder too?
It is unbelievably good. And so a scoop of that into this vanilla shake, and the kids it tastes exactly like a vanilla shake from a fast food place. The kids will suck that down, and in that one smoothie, they've gotten everything they need for half a day. And so then their lunches are, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which happens to be vegan, and apple, which they love, Pirate's Booty, the little crunchy snacks that like Cheez-Its, but they're corn and vegan. There's so many things that are just easy grab and go vegan snacks now that it doesn't really address what you're saying about transitioning immediately some kid who only ever ate meat. That's going to be tough. We have a friend she's a medical doctor, and she has 3 sons, and she can't get any of her boys to eat any vegetables. But I'll sit there and watch her cut up chicken for her boys and just shove it, and they'll just eat all this chicken.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. I feel so lucky.
I mean, that's just scary. I mean, if you're an omnivore, there should be tons of vegetables in your diet to begin with. So
Well, this is one of the reasons that so many kids start having signs of plaque in their arteries at a young age. And I think I read that you said one of the great side effects of raising your kids vegan and them loving vegetables is they are never constipated, and a lot lot of kids struggle with that.
Yeah. No. And because they don't
Your
have
kids are
going to
hate, if they listen to this in 10 years, they're going to hate you that you said that. But it's okay.
No, I tell it to them all the time because they don't know what the word is. And so for a 7 and a 5-year-old to be like, what does that mean? And I remind them they've had canceled play dates. Your friend couldn't come over because your friend couldn't go.
Whoa.
Like, this is literally the situation that a lot of these kids are in. And our kids are not. It's definitely, they're regular without a doubt.